Hi, I'm Jim Cramer. I'm talking with our energy expert, Dan Dicker. Something very exciting. Pre-order on Amazon today. Shale boom, shale bust. I got to tell you, Dan, that is an incendiary headline for a lot of the people who may own some of the shale stocks. I know you've talked to me about how oil could eventually go up big in price. I'm trying to reconcile the two.
Right. Look, we're in the midst of what is going to be a not short-lived bust cycle in energy.
Not, so in other words, the U, not the V.
The U, indeed. And we've said that. In fact, we see oil today backing off away from that $62 area back into the mid-50s. This is going to go back and forth for a while between, I think, $45 and $60 for quite a while yet. We need to see a little more production come offline. And in that, we have the OPEC meeting that's coming up next week. And clearly, from my book, the November meeting of OPEC was really the watershed moment that kind of circles around this kind of bust cycle. It was the last kind of net that kind of be taken out from under the acrobats and allowed oil to really drop from where it was at that point, which was still in the low 80s, down to this low that we saw at $42. So this next meeting coming up has a little bit of interest in terms of the book and in terms of oil prices in general.
Well, if people buy the book, what are some of the things they can learn in order to be able to make money in this particular segment?
Right, and I do have a very large section on how the energy sector, in fact the industry itself, will shake itself out over the course of the next several months. And in trying to understand how it shakes itself out, obviously gives you insight into those investments. You want those places that are going to be the long-term winners, the ones who are not going to go broke based on the back of a boom or the bust cycle we're in now. For example, American Eagle was one that we talked about months ago as going bankrupt, in fact filed for bankruptcy very recently.
Well, touch on drillers and service?
Just a bit, because they are also a part of the bust cycle, but less so than the E&Ps, and less so than some of the other infrastructures, for example, the pipes. That's going to be a big turnover in what happens. This bust cycle is going to make a big difference in who's the winners and who the losers in pipes. For example, you talk about Kinder Morgan in a recent video. They're one of the few pipeline companies who I think will be a major winner on the back end of this bust cycle.
Now, how about natural gas versus oil? Where are we?
Right, and this is one that I don't really touch much on in the book. The book is really based on shale oil alone. In terms of natural gas, this is a country that clearly still has an enormous possibility of natural gas, both in conversion and as a transport fuel, but that will have to be left for the future. In many ways, I talk about shale oil as a limited resource to a certain degree. Natural gas, to me, looks at this time less limited, much more unlimited in terms of the possible reserves that are out there waiting to be gotten still.
Okay, and shale boom, shale bust, this is going to be available on Amazon as an e-book.
It will be available as a hardcover print-on-demand book later, but for right now, I'm assuming that most of the sales will come as an e-book. $4.99, you can't beat the price.
That's a nice price. I know I'm going to get it. Thank you very much, Dan.
Right.